Hello, my name is Marianne Fortuna, and it's a privilege to make this virtual presentation to the 7th International Conference on Environmental, Cultural, Economic, and Social Sustainability. I will be presenting on behalf of my co-authors, Deborah Hazzard-Robinson, Joe Krupka, and Dr. Karen Loch at Georgia State University. The social responsibilities of organizations have been debated for years, yet the merit of an organization has traditionally been measured by its financial bottom line. Certainly there have always been organizations that were socially responsible, promoted environmental awareness, or gave to the community, but these attributes were nice to have, tangential to the primordial financial performance. However, the expected role of organizations in their social contract appear to be changing. In fact, there is a value judgment being made that infers that a good organization is now synonymous with one that engages in sustainability and corporate social responsibility initiatives, its financial performance notwithstanding. We find support for this notion of social contract between business and society in the literature. In 2002, Donaldson and Dunphy extended this notion in their integrated social contract theory work, where they suggested that the organization must consider its socio-cultural context, meaning that not only was financial performance important and expected, but that corporations were responsible for quality of life issues broadly defined. Very quickly, let's look at the extant literature on sustainability and CSR. Over the past 20 years, there have been many articles debating sustainability and CSR trends. A most interesting article was written in 2009 by David Henderson, who argued that adherence to the doctrine of CSR will actually do more harm to the very people it purports to protect by leading to increased welfare and a weakened market economy, characterized by higher prices and inefficiencies. Another stream of work examines the definition of CSR. Dalsrud in 2006 engaged in an extensive literature review and found and analyzed more than 37 different definitions of CSR. There is a growing body of work that examines organizational drivers, how firms are measuring the success of their respective initiatives, and their contribution to organizational competitiveness. Reflecting this growing interest in sustainability and CSR, we also see the development of multiple reporting frameworks, such as the Triple Bottom Line, the Connected Reporting Framework, and the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. In summary, the literature confirms the relevancy of the topic, but there remains an ongoing debate at two levels: legitimacy and definitional. Most notable, there is a lack of empirical studies in This study has the overarching research question asking, how do sustainability and CSR trends impact multinational corporations in the information and communication technology industry? We divided this into two more focused research questions. One, what are the organizational drivers in response to these trends? And two, how are the organizations measuring success of their initiatives? We undertook a comparative case study of two multinationals in the ICT sector, one European and one American, conducting interviews of individuals in the organization, divided between individuals with primary responsibility for sustainability and CSR and individuals with secondary responsibility, respectively. Each interview used a semi-structured interview script and lasted approximately 1 hour. The interviews were recorded and transcribed. This table shows the breakdown of the interviews, 31 in total, 16 in the European firm versus 15 in the U.S. firm. Across both organizations, those participants with primary responsibility had, on average, longer tenure with their firms respectively. For our findings, we noted Company A formally established its Sustainability and CSR department in 2009, whereas Company B has had its division in place since the early 1990s. The respondents defined sustainability as environmentally or planet-focused, in contrast to CSR, which was described as being socially or people-focused. The interviewees also reflected an accepted distinction between the U.S. as more socially engaged versus Europe as more environmentally engaged, all things being equal. The distribution of the nature of the initiatives followed this, with the U.S. firm classifying 70% of their initiatives as being social versus 30% environmental, whereas the EU firm reported an almost exact flip. 80% of their initiatives are planet-focused versus 20% people-focused. Drivers fell into 6 categorical groups with some noteworthy differences between companies. This is not a scientific ranking of drivers, but rather based on the content of the interviews. Both organizations were first and foremost concerned with their brand image or reputation. They want to be known as being cutting edge, environmentally friendly, and socially responsible to their stakeholders. Environmental initiatives are not as available for Company A as for Company B. A is a service company, whereas B is a manufacturing company in the same industry. While both organizations may participate in energy-saving initiatives and utilization of renewable sources of energy, for example, Company B manufactures products which pays considerable attention to product recycling, product package reduction, and even sourcing of sustainable raw materials, none of which are part of Company A's business. Regulatory requirements are not considered primary drivers by either organization, but merely a baseline to go above and beyond in compliance. All drivers in both organizations are expected to produce economical results as well as social and environmental measurements. The takeaway from the interviews was, if the initiative is not financially feasible and viable, it will not become part of their sustainability and CSR program. Economic measurement is simply the financial viability of an initiative. Environmental measurements include carbon footprint, energy reduction, and percentage use of alternative energy sources, for example. Social measurement examples include customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction surveys. Recognition and awards are presented by external third parties such as Greenpeace, Ladies Home Journal Do Good Stamp, Dow Jones Sustainability Index, or top 100 listings from different sources. These awards represent an aggregate assessment of an organization's performance in sustainability and CSR and are highly valued as they contribute to brand reputation for the organization. The last 2 measurements highlighted here in yellow are rather unique from what we've seen elsewhere in the literature. Equifocal contribution is a measurement that both organizations mentioned. It means that all employees have a voice, that initiatives can come from anyone within the organization, and the extent to which there is a greater involvement at all levels, there will be greater success at truly embedding sustainable business practices throughout the organization. For both companies, there was considerable discussion surrounding the whole area of brand identity, reputation, public perception, being responsive to their shareholders, etc. However, only the EU firm had a signature logo that responded to these drivers and issues and was viewed as being very successful in helping to brand them as a sustainable company. While Company A did not have any means of branding in this fashion, it was something they were attempting to do as well. As with any study, there are always limitations. First, we took a case study approach limited to 2 organizations in the same industry, albeit in different places on the value chain. Secondly, only 2 geographic regions were represented, and we did not explicitly examine any national cultural differences. One would expect future research to address these limitations in several ways. First, additional empirical studies which are cross-industry and/or cross-cultural. Second, multi-level studies which consider the different managerial levels within an organization and their responsibility for, and awareness of sustainability and CSR as indicators of the embeddedness of these phenomena. Third, surveys to access larger data sets, again representing cross-industry and/or cross-cultural perspectives. And finally, the placement of the organization on the value chain and how this may impact one's response to these sustainability and CSR trends and drivers. Thank you very much for your time. We would welcome your questions and feedback, and for this we have included our contact information on this final page.